Hello, everybody. I am Matias Miranda, and now I'm going to talk to you about different topics related to the book Animal Farm, created by George Orwell. Let's begin. First of all, I'm gonna read about the plot. I gotta say that I read a plot on my computer and now I'm gonna read it. So let's begin. The central conflict of Animal Farm arises when the animals' desire for freedom and equality is corrupted by the consolidation of political power amongst the pigs. The animals' original goal is expressed in the first chapter. In all Major's teachings, and especially in Beasts of England, the song that becomes the anthem of Animal Farm. At the beginning of the novella, political power is embodied by the farmer Mr. Jones, who indulges himself while the animals starve. The animals win easily when they rebel against Mr. Jones, and as a result they make the mistake of thinking they have overcome political power itself. In reality, they have only overcome one of the forms that political power can take. By the end of chapter 2, when Napoleon steals the cow's milk, the political power becomes embodied by the pigs. Between chapter 2 to 7, trace the development of the pig's power and the other animals' growing awareness that they have not achieved their goal after all. The pigs, and Napoleon in particular, come to embody political power in three ways. First, they claim more and more of the farm's resources for themselves. They start by stealing milk and apples, then eventually sell animals' products to buy human luxuries like whiskey. Second, the pigs become more violent, introducing the dog police force and ordering executions. Third, the pigs claim the power to determine what truth is. Squealer changed the commandments of animalism and the story of the Battle of the Cowshed. Meanwhile, the animals slowly come to realize that their lives are not better than they were before the rebellion. The climax of the novella occurs in chapter 7, when Napoleon decides to sell the hens' eggs. The hens finally recognize that the pigs are their antagonists, and they rebel. The rebellion is brutally crushed and the hens are executed. Now Boxer is the only character still clinging to the hope that freedom can be achieved. He has worked tirelessly to achieve this goal set forth by old Major, which for Boxer is represented by his hope of one day retiring to a special pasture. However, when the time comes for Boxer to retire, he is sold and killed. Boxer's betrayal marks the moment in which political power, embodied in Napoleon and the pigs, completely defeats the animals. In Animal Farm's final pages, the animals watch the pigs dining with human farmers and find they are unable to tell the differences between human and pigs. The pigs have become one with the human farmers because both groups are equally corrupted by the reality of political power. So now let's move on with the second part of the test, the characters. Let's begin with Napoleon. Napoleon was the pig who emerged as the leader of Animal Farm after the rebellion. Based on Joseph Stalin, Napoleon used military force that were his 9 loyal attack dogs to intimidate the other animals and consolidate his power. In his supreme craftiness, Napoleon proves more treacherous than his counterpart, Snowball. And now let's move on with Snowball. Snowball was a pig too. Was the pig who challenges Napoleon for the control of Animal Farm after the rebellion. Based only on Trotsky, Snowball is intelligent, passionate, and eloquent, less subtle and debauched than his counterpart Napoleon. Snowball seems to win the loyalty of the other animals and cement his power. Boxer. Boxer was the cart horse whose incredible strength, dedication, and loyalty play a key role in the early prosperity of Animal Farm and the later completion of the windmill. Quick to help but rather slow-witted, Boxer shows much devotion to Animal Farm's ideals, but little ability to think about them independently. He trusts the pigs to make all his decisions for him. His two quotes, or two more famous quotes, are "I will work harder" and "Napoleon is always right." Let's move on with Squealer. He was one of the pigs too. Again, he was the pig who spreads Napoleon's propaganda among the other animals. Squealer justifies the pig's monopolizations of resources and spreads false statistics pointing to the farm's success. Orwell used Squirrel to explore the ways in which those in power often the rhetoric and language to twist the truth and gain and maintain social and political control. Old Major, the prize-winning boar whose visions of a socialist utopia serves as the inspiration for the rebellion. 3 days after describing the vision of teaching the animals with the song Beasts of England, Major dies, leaving Snowball and Napoleon to struggle for control of his legacy. Orwell based Major on both the German political economist Karl Marx and the Russian revolutionary leader Vladimir Ilyich Lenin, or also known as Lenin. Clover. Clover was a good-hearted female cart horse and Boxer's close friend too. Clover often suspects the pigs of violating one or another of the 7 commandments, but she repeatedly blames herself for misremembering the commandments. Moses. Moses was the tame raven who spread stories of Sugar Candy Mountain, the paradise to which animals supposedly go when they die. Moses plays only a small role in Animal Farm, but I will introduce them as well. But Orwell used him as a character to explore how the communism exploits religion as something with which to pacify the opposite. Molly. Molly is the faded mare who pulls Mr. Jones' carriage. Molly craves the attention of human beings and loves being groomed and pampered. She has a difficult time with her new life on Animal Farm, and she misses wearing ribbons in her name and eating sugar cubes. She represents the petite bourgeoisie that fled from Russia a few years after the Russian Revolution. Benjamin. Benjamin, the long-lived donkey who refuses to feel inspired by the rebellion. Benjamin firmly believes that the life will remain unpleasant no matter who is in charge. Of all the animals on the farm, he alone comprehends the changes that take place, but he seems either unwilling or unable to oppose the pigs. Muriel. She was basically the white goat who reads and the 7 commandments to Clover whenever Clover suspects the pigs of violating their provisions. And Mr. Jones. Mr. Jones is the often drunk farmer who runs the manor farm before the animals stage their rebellion and establish Animal Farm. Mr. Jones is an unkind master who indulges himself while his animals lack food. His thoughts represent Tsar Nicholas II, whom the Russian Revolution ousted. So now let's talk about the theme. I'm gonna talk about the corruption of socialist ideals in the Soviet Union or Russia. Animal Farm is most famous in the West as a stinging critique of history of rhetoric of the Russian Revolution. Retelling the story of the emergence and development of Soviet communism in the form of an animal fable. Animal Farm allegorizes the rise to power of the dictator Joseph Stalin. In the novella, the overthrow of the human oppressor, Mr. Jones, by a democratic coalition of animals quickly gives way to the consolidation of power among the pigs. Much like the Soviet intelligence, the pigs establish themselves as the ruling class in the new society. The struggle for preeminence between Leon Trotsky and Stalin emerged in the rivalry between pigs Snowball and Napoleon. In both historical and fictional cases, the idealistic but politically less powerful figure that was where Trotsky and Snowball is expelled from the revolutionary states by the malicious and violent usurper of power that were Stalin and Napoleon. The purges and shows trials with which Stalin eliminated his enemies and solidified his political base find expression in Animal Farm as the false confessions and executions of animals whom Napoleon distrusts following the collapse of the windmill. Stalin's tyrannical rule and eventual abandonment of the founding principles of the Russian Revolution are represented by the pigs turned to violent government and the adoption of human traits and behaviors, the trappings of their original oppressors. Although Orwell believed strongly in socialist ideals, he felt that the Soviet Union realized these ideals in a terrible perverse form. His novella creates its most powerful ironies in the moments in which Orwell depicts the corruption of animalist ideals by those in power. For Animal Farm serves not so much to condemn tyranny of despotism as to indict the horrifying hypocrisy of tyrannies that base themselves on and owe their initial power to ideologies of liberation and equality. The gradual disintegration and perversion of the Seven Commandments illustrates this hypocrisy with vivid force, as do scholars elaborate philosophical justifications for the pig's bluntly unprincipled actions. The novella critiques the violence of the Stalinist regime against the human beings it ruled, and also points the Soviet communism violence against human logic, language, and ideals. And now, the setting. The manor farm, later called Animal Farm, is a small, independent farm somewhere in the English countryside. The name Manor Farm tells us that it was once owned by a local aristocrat, the lord of the manor. However, the farm has since come into the hands of Mr. Jones, an unsuccessful, lazy, drunken farmer. Within the novella allegory, the manor farm represents Russia and also the countries of Europe, more generally, places once ruled by aristocrats, now ruled by capitalists, and ripe for a communist revolution. However, the Englishness of the manor farm is also important. Small, Independent farms are a treasured part of the British national self-image, emblems of the coziness and tranquility or chillness of English political life. By imagining such a farm undergoing a revolution, Animal Farm suggests that the corruption and bloodshed of Stalinism is much closer to home than British readers may realize. Well, so now let's move on with the bonus question. The bonus question says, how can you link the book to current times? Well, I truly believe that it links, but with times from the earliest 1900s years, like 1910 or something. And I truly believe that the links are with Russia, with Russian Revolution to be more specific. But in simple terms, I don't believe that it links with nowadays. So concluding this video, I just want to thank you all for listening to me, and specifically to you, Professor Mark Cordova. So take care. I hope you are doing well and stay as much safe as you can. Thank you very much for your attention, and take care. Be in touch.